Ladies and gentlemen, roll up! Take your ticket, take your seat for the only show in town. Take me back to Manchester! In the 1800s, the world became bigger. Hidden corners of the globe opened up to travellers and explorers for the first time. It were an age of sail, an age of steam, an age of rail, and with new lands came new animals. Lions and tigers, monkeys, zebras and giraffes, elephants. Throughout Victorian Britain, zoos and menageries shared these marvels with the public for a penny a time, a farthing a time. Roll up, ladies and gentlemen, roll up. This is Lorenzo Lawrence, animal handler, lion tamer, showman, entertainer. In 1872, Lorenzo was in Edinburgh, where the country's biggest menagerie was being sold at auction. Raccoons and bears and pelicans and wolves. Sold, sold, sold. And an elephant called Maharajah, bought by Belle Vue Zoo in Manchester. When the elephant refused to board the train in Edinburgh, Lorenzo saved the day. He offered to walk it back to Manchester. During the next 10 days, the pair of them walked over 200 miles through the Scottish borders and the English lakes to reach Belle Vue. And there they stayed, Lorenzo and Maharajah, until the elephant died and the handler retired. Maharajah's skeleton is now on show in Manchester Museum, and there the story ends. Or does it?
Growing up in Manchester, you always go to Manchester Museum of a weekend. It's free and it's brilliant, it's popular, there's lots of things there for the kids, so you've always been, and you've been aware of this elephant, and you've been aware of this story. It's always been in the back of my mind as a project that I'd quite like to explore creatively, because it involves such a big walk. Well, I'm Oliver East and I'm an artist. Some people would call me a cartoonist, and that'd be fine. I go on long convoluted walks and then I make comics about them. There aren't many walking artists making comic books, and there aren't many walking artists making comic books in Manchester. So if there's anyone who's going to do a comic about an epic walk that ends in Manchester, I'd be disappointed if anyone had got there before me. So no one's done a comic book about that yet, have they? Maybe I will. So yeah, no, it's good. The first time I picked up a pencil in anger was when I was 26, and I've been making comics ever since. Yeah, I've only been drawing for 10 years, I'm still learning, so I've not arrived yet, I don't think I ever will. I'd rather not arrive at a point where I'm happy with my drawing, because then that might lead to being a bit lazy about it. No, the fear's good, the fear's important. I had 6 months where I tried to pretend to be a historian. There's a certain amount of literature about Maharajah and its life in Belle Vue Zoo, and there's lots on the zoo itself, and there's a certain amount about the auction. There's not a whole lot about the walk, so my experiences of the walk will be Lorenzo's experience of the walk. The main reason I go on these walks is that I'm quite severely dyslexic. I could sit in Central Library with all the books in the world for as long as I had, and it might not do me much good. I still have a desire to learn and a desire to gain knowledge, but it's frustrating not being able to read. So I invented these long walks as a kind of way of gaining some kind of knowledge, to self-teach myself something. I'm not sure what yet. That's the main reason why I wanted to do the walk myself. But I'm never going to be the best historian in the world. But I can walk for 220 miles in 10 days. And that will inform the book in a different way than if I would have spent the same amount of time in a library. So it will be very much a book born on the road. It's the whole point of doing the walk was so I could appreciate, there's empathy in exhaustion. It came alive for me when I started walking. I thought, because I'm on the road for 10 days in a beautiful part of the world, it would seem a waste not to take a sketchbook along and try and do some sketching as I go. But because of the action of walking and drawing, they're all quite abstract lines, and they work quite well, I think. When the day would be getting long and I'd be in more pain, I'd just fall back on my written notes. And it's those kind of days where you question why you're doing these things, Even the hard bits and the bits where you're doubting the point of it all, it all makes for good conflict, which I can use for the book. That's more interesting to me than it going very well, so because I can get better work out of conflict. I'm never down for very long, because then you start walking again the following day, and then it's just putting one foot in front of the other, and it gets you started again. I enjoyed every step of it, even though it might not have looked it at the time. Wilder parts, in the Scottish borders and circling the Lake District, definitely. When structures are few and far between, and traffic dies down, and you don't see anybody for a couple of hours. It's then that you realise that this is what it would have looked like. This is exactly how it would have looked like. All that will be a pleasure to draw, and it would have looked more or less the same 150 years ago. Take me back to Manchester when it's raining. I wanna splash my feet in Albert Square. I'm all agog for a good thick fog. I don't like the sun, I like it raining cats and dogs. So I wanna smell the odours of the air. Well, I wanna feel the sucker in my hair. Oh, I don't want to roam, I want to get back home. to rainy Manchester.
We think things are bigger than they are. It's not as far from here to there as we think it is. Miles? What's a mile? Nothing's as big as it looks.
It felt like I'd achieved something worthwhile, because when you squirrel yourself away in a studio all day, every day, working on comic books, it's quite difficult to legitimise your chosen lifestyle. When you get the opportunity to complete such a mammoth trek, it can be, it's very satisfying. And when your family's there, it can be a bit, overwhelming and through exhaustion. Because I didn't see my kid for 10 days of the walk, so that was good. But as soon as the walk's over, you're just itching to get started on the book, really, because no one's going to draw it for you. So you just got to get. I think I started the book the day after. It's always quite melancholic at the end of the walk, because it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. I mean, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and I very much enjoy walking on my own for long periods of time. So when you get to the end of it and then you have to start on the book, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like drawing the books, but it's the walking which is replenishes your soul, I guess, Don't have a cat. Patel.